There is a rare kind of woman who moves through life almost unnoticed, yet her presence lingers in the hearts of those who cross her path. She is not the loudest in the room, nor the one chasing recognition, but she holds something far more powerful, an inner strength that cannot be shaken, a spiritual depth that cannot be imitated. Carl Jung often spoke of the unseen layers of the psyche, and women with inner power embody this truth. Their strength is not always visible on the surface, but hidden in quiet choices, subtle resilience, and the invisible traits that set them apart. In a world that glorifies speed, visibility, and external validation, these women walk a different path. They do not measure their worth by applause or approval. They measure it by integrity, intuition, and the ability to remain true to themselves even when the world demands otherwise. While many are caught in the noise of comparison, they find peace in solitude, in silence, and in the wisdom that life whispers when no one else is listening. It is this inner orientation that makes their power so profound. They are not controlled by what others expect of them. They are guided by a deeper compass, one that points toward authenticity. Their lives are not without struggle. In fact, many of these women have endured more than most. They have faced betrayal, loneliness, heartbreak, and seasons of invisibility. Yet instead of letting those struggles harden them, they allowed them to refine their spirit. Pain became a teacher, solitude became a sanctuary, and silence became their strength. This is why, even when they stand quietly, their presence carries weight. They have walked through darkness without losing their light, and that light now shines in the subtle ways they touch the lives of others. People often sense something different about them. Strangers may confide in them without knowing why. Friends may lean on them in times of crisis, drawn to their calm assurance. This magnetic quality is not about charm, but about empathy, the ability to listen deeply, to feel what others feel, and to offer comfort without judgment. Yet, what makes them truly remarkable is that they give without losing themselves. They know how to set boundaries, how to protect their energy, and how to carry their compassion without being consumed by it. What makes these women extraordinary is not that they avoid the messiness of life, but that they rise gracefully within it. They do not resist pain, nor do they chase perfection. Instead, they cultivate unshakable emotional depth, silent resilience in struggles, magnetic empathic presence, inner independence of spirit, unspoken wisdom of intuition, and graceful strength in solitude. These traits cannot be taught like a skill or copied like a trend. They are forged through lived experience, through wounds that became wisdom, and through choices that put authenticity above approval. This is the unseen power of women who secretly hold inner strength. They may not always announce themselves, but their presence changes the atmosphere. They remind us that true strength is often invisible, carried not in noise but in silence, not in appearances but in essence. And when you encounter such a woman, you will know it, not because she tells you, but because something within you awakens in her presence. Unshakable emotional depth. Unshakable emotional depth is not about being overwhelmed by feelings, nor is it about constantly expressing them outwardly. Instead, it is a quiet but powerful capacity to experience life on a level that most people cannot even perceive. Women who carry this depth often process experiences in layers. Every moment, every word spoken to them, every silence between sentences holds meaning. They are not satisfied with superficial exchanges or shallow connections, because they instinctively feel the undercurrents of human behavior. While others skim the surface of life, they dive into its core, sensing the hidden motives, suppressed emotions, and unspoken truths in the people around them. This sensitivity, however, does not make them weak. Rather, it gives them a kind of intuitive strength that often surprises others. Such women rarely rush through healing or growth. They sit with their pain, study it, and let it transform them. While the world may pressure them to move on quickly or not take things so seriously, they refuse to betray their own process. Their depth allows them to understand that grief, heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment are not just obstacles. They are teachers. Through this, they build an unshakable resilience. They do not deny their wounds, but allow those wounds to become gateways to greater wisdom and compassion. This is why people who meet them often describe them as wise beyond their years, or possessing an inexplicable calmness in the face of storms. Their emotional depth also shapes how they love and connect. They are not attracted to fleeting excitement or empty words. They are drawn to authenticity, Relationships with such women are intense, not because they are demanding, but because they cannot pretend or tolerate half-heartedness. When they give their whole self. When they listen, they hear not just the words, but the ache or joy hidden beneath. This makes them rare, but also misunderstood. Some may find their presence overwhelming because it forces them to confront parts of themselves they would rather avoid. In moments of solitude, these women find beauty where others may see emptiness. They are able to sit with silence and feel its richness. Their inner world is vast, often filled with creativity, reflection, and imagination. This inner landscape becomes their sanctuary and source of power. In a world that often rewards superficial charm and quick solutions, women with unshakable emotional depth remind us that true strength is found in patience, reflection, and the courage to feel deeply without breaking. Their depth is their armor, their gift, and their invisible crown. Silent resilience in struggles. Silent resilience in struggles is one of the most underestimated yet powerful qualities a woman can hold. It is not about loudly declaring her hardships to the world or constantly proving her strength to others. Instead, it is the quiet endurance that allows her to walk through fire without announcing the flames. Women with this invisible trait face challenges head-on, but they do so with a calmness that confuses those who expect them to collapse under pressure. They may cry behind closed doors, but when they step into the world, they carry themselves with dignity, as if their pain has only sharpened their edges instead of breaking them. This form of resilience is built not in comfort, but in adversity. Life has tested these women repeatedly, sometimes in ways that would bring others to their knees: betrayals from loved ones, financial hardships, loneliness, or the weight of being misunderstood. Yet instead of giving up, they transform these trials into inner steel. Each setback becomes a lesson, each wound a scar that reminds them not of weakness, but of survival. They don't need applause or validation for enduring what they have endured. Their quiet strength speaks louder than any words could. The remarkable thing about silent resilience is how it influences those around them. People may not always know the depth of their struggles, but they feel the energy of a woman who refuses to be defeated. Friends, family, and even strangers often lean on them during difficult times, sensing their groundedness. This does not mean these women are unshakable robots. They still feel pain deeply, but their difference lies in the way they process it. They allow emotions to move through them, without letting those emotions control their destiny. In solitude, their resilience blooms even stronger. When the world cannot see them, they gather their broken pieces, sit with their own truths, and quietly rebuild. They don't rely on external rescue, they become their own rescue. Over time, this makes them profoundly self-reliant, but also compassionate toward others who are struggling. They know what it feels like to carry invisible battles, so they never judge someone else's journey. Ultimately, silent resilience is the quiet revolution of the soul. It is what allows a woman to endure storms and still rise with grace. She may not shout about her battles, but her presence tells the story of survival. And when others look into her eyes, they see not just a woman who has endured, but a woman who has mastered the art of standing strong in silence. Magnetic empathic presence. Magnetic empathic presence is the rare ability to draw people in without effort. Not because of outward charm or performance, but because of an authentic energy that feels safe and deeply human. Women with this trait often do not realize the effect they have on others. People naturally open up to them, sometimes even strangers, because they sense an unspoken acceptance that words cannot replicate. This presence is magnetic because it is genuine, born from a place of empathy rather than ego. Unlike superficial attraction, which fades quickly, this type of magnetism lingers in memory, leaving others feeling seen, understood, and valued. Empaths with this presence do not simply hear what others are saying. They feel the emotional undertones. When someone is masking pain with a smile, they can sense it. When someone is hiding joy out of fear of envy, they notice that too. This heightened awareness allows them to connect on a soul-to-soul level, skipping past small talk into meaningful understanding. Many times, people walk away from conversations with them feeling lighter, as if they had released a burden they didn't even know they were carrying. It is not magic, but it feels magical because it touches the invisible core of human experience. The magnetic quality also lies in the way these women carry themselves. They do not need to dominate a room or fight for attention. Instead, their quiet presence shifts the atmosphere. They create spaces where vulnerability feels safe, where silence is not awkward but healing. This draws people toward them, not out of curiosity, but out of an unconscious longing for authenticity in a world filled with masks. Their gift is not just listening, but reflecting back a sense of worth to those who feel unseen. At the same time, this empathic magnetism can be both a blessing and a burden. Because they attract so many who seek comfort, these women often face emotional exhaustion. Yet they continue to hold space with grace, learning to set boundaries while still radiating compassion. Their power does not come from fixing everyone, but from reminding people that they are not alone in their struggles. In truth, magnetic empathic presence is not about perfection, but about humanity. It is the soft power of being fully present, of feeling deeply without judgment, of creating silent bonds that transform hearts. Those who encounter such women rarely forget them, because their essence is not just seen, it is felt, and it leaves an imprint on the soul. Inner independence of spirit. Inner independence of spirit is a freedom that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It lives within women who have learned that their worth and identity are not tied to external approval, relationships, or social validation. While many people are driven by the need to belong or to please, these women have cultivated a quiet assurance that they can stand alone and still feel whole. Their independence is not cold detachment, but a deep-rooted knowing that they do not need to compromise their essence to be accepted. This invisible strength makes them both mysterious and unshakable. Such women may have once relied on others for affirmation, but life's betrayals and disappointments taught them to anchor themselves inwardly. They discovered that the world's praise can be fleeting, that people's loyalty can shift with convenience, and that relying too heavily on external validation often leads to heartbreak. Instead of becoming bitter, they turned inward, finding stability in their own values, beliefs, and intuition. This is why they walk with an unmistakable confidence, not arrogance. Their independence allows them to say no without guilt and yes without fear of judgment. In relationships, this trait is both empowering and transformative. Women with inner independence do not enter partnerships to fill a void. They enter to share abundance. They do not cling out of desperation, nor do they allow themselves to be controlled or diminished. This strength often challenges those around them, especially people who expect compliance or dependency. Yet their independence does not push people away. It inspires respect, even from those who may not fully understand it. The beauty of this inner independence is also revealed in solitude. These women thrive when alone, not because they reject others, but because their inner world is rich and fulfilling. They can travel alone, make difficult decisions without constant reassurance, and pursue paths that others might fear to walk. Their spirit is guided more by intuition than by trends, and more by inner clarity than by external noise. Ultimately, inner independence of spirit is the quiet refusal to let the world dictate one's worth. It is the courage to choose authenticity over conformity, truth over convenience, and dignity over approval. Women who carry this invisible trait remind us that true freedom is not about escaping responsibilities or relationships. It is about anchoring so deeply within oneself that no external storm can uproot the soul. Their independence is not rebellion. It is self-sovereignty, and it is the source of their unshakable inner power. Unspoken wisdom of intuition. Unspoken wisdom of intuition is one of the most mysterious and powerful qualities a woman can carry. It is not taught in books, nor is it a skill that can be rehearsed. It is an inner knowing that arises without explanation, yet proves itself true time and again. Women with this invisible trait sense things long before they are revealed. They notice subtle shifts in energy, small inconsistencies in words, and the silent messages hidden in gestures and expressions. While others rely solely on logic or facts, these women trust the quiet whispers of their spirit, and often, those whispers save them from harm or guide them toward paths of growth. This wisdom is unspoken because it rarely needs to be announced. They may not always explain why they make a decision or why they avoid certain people, but time usually reveals that their instinct was right. Family and friends might dismiss them at first, calling them too sensitive or paranoid, yet when the truth comes to light, people remember that they had sensed it all along. Their intuition is not loud. It does not scream. It hums quietly beneath the noise of daily life. nudging them toward what is authentic and warning them away from what is destructive. This intuitive gift also influences their relationships. They can feel when someone's intentions are genuine and when they are not. They can sense the difference between words of love and manipulation, between promises meant to be kept and promises meant to control. This is why women with intuitive wisdom often avoid toxic bonds before they can take root. Even when they choose to give second chances, it is not out of blindness. It is out of compassion, fully aware of the risks. In their solitude, their intuition becomes even sharper. They might find answers in dreams, in sudden insights, or in the way a quiet moment shifts their perception. Their wisdom does not always follow logic, but it carries a timeless truth. They understand that the human heart often hides what the spirit cannot, and this allows them to navigate life with a rare kind of foresight. Ultimately, the unspoken wisdom of intuition is what sets them apart in a world addicted to proof and explanation. They live by an inner compass that keeps them aligned with their higher self. While others stumble in circles searching for direction, they walk steadily, guided by a voice no one else can hear, but everyone eventually respects. Their intuition is their shield, their lantern, and the silent proof that inner wisdom is often more reliable than the world's loudest voices. Graceful strength in solitude. Graceful strength in solitude is not about loneliness, nor is it about shutting the world out. It is the rare ability to stand in one's own company and feel whole, radiant, and at peace. Women who carry this invisible trait do not fear silence. They embrace it. In fact, solitude becomes the ground where they grow their deepest roots and discover the essence of who they are. While many people need constant validation, company, or distraction to feel complete, these women cultivate strength by turning inward. Their solitude is not empty. It is sacred, filled with reflection, creativity, and quiet self-discovery. What makes their strength graceful is the way they hold it. They do not build walls of arrogance or act superior because they can be alone. Instead, they move with a calm assurance that their worth is not dependent on external noise. When life pulls people away, when friendships fade, or when relationships end, they do not crumble into despair. Instead, they use solitude as an invitation to return to themselves, to remember that they are more than the roles others assign them. This grace allows them to walk through seasons of isolation with dignity, transforming what could have been loneliness into a sanctuary of renewal. In solitude, they often find clarity that others miss. Away from the world's demands, they can hear their own thoughts, their intuition, and even the quiet guidance of life itself. Many of their breakthroughs, emotional, spiritual, or creative, come not in crowded rooms but in the stillness of being alone. Their solitude becomes the forge where resilience is shaped, where dreams are nurtured, and where their spirit learns to breathe freely. At the same time, their ability to thrive alone makes their presence in relationships even more powerful. They do not cling out of fear, nor do they demand constant reassurance. Instead, they enter connections from a place of fullness, not emptiness. This is why others often feel drawn to them. They radiate a kind of calm independence that feels both comforting and inspiring. Graceful strength in solitude is, at its heart, a quiet declaration. I am enough. It is the invisible trait that allows a woman to weather storms without losing herself, to sit in silence without feeling incomplete, and to carry an inner light that shines even when no one is watching. In a world that often equates worth with constant busyness or visibility, these women remind us that true strength is born in stillness, and grace is found in the courage to stand alone with dignity.